Welcome, 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 welcome. If you live it, wherever you found this, we're glad you're here. If this is via socials, we're glad you're here. If this is via YouTube, we're glad you're here. If this is via content on the website, we're glad you're here. If this is via podcast form, I'm glad you're here. This platform, this book, this program, this blog, this whatever you want to call it, is growing in rapid succession. And we haven't even gotten to the part yet where we've started the meetings. I can't wait to look back a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and see all of the stories that come from working these steps that people are finding. To see how many people have joined this community and become part of a change in their world, a change which they wish they had always seen in it. They are that now. I cannot wait to see it. I get so excited about the prospect and the fact that maybe one day my entire life could be about doing nothing but working with you, listening to this, watching this, hearing this, reading this. I cannot wait. I hope that day comes. That would be wonderful. If it doesn't, we'll keep coming at you with this, though. Today, we are having a conversation, a deeper dive into the forces of anger and pride, the last two big forces of the lower aspect of the ego, before we move into a world where we embrace courage, where we become it, then where we move into willingness and acceptance, and where we have the chance at love and unconditional love and use reason and logic and the intellect and dive through that, and then hopefully reach a place where sainthood is present in your life that propels you onward to the doorway where enlightenment is present as a reality, if that's an intent you're setting. But today, it's about anger, it's about pride. Why are these two forces, the last two, why are they so powerful? Why are they the barrier to reaching courage? Let's look at anger. Let's look at righteous anger as an example. Righteous anger will keep someone stuck, being reborn for lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, because being right is juicy. Being right feels important. Being right makes you feel and think you're something as opposed to nothing. At least I'm right. And I will go to the grave. I will die for being right as opposed to being happy. Rarely do we even ask ourselves, what does being right lead us to? Does it lead to chaos in our life? Does it lead to friendships that break apart? Does it lead to relationships that end? And what is at the root of being right anyways? It's an opinion. And why do I need someone else to even know that I'm right? Why isn't just the internal knowingness that something is correct enough? We will, in today's age, through social media and 24-hour news, being right is akin to being victim. And if I'm the biggest victim or I'm the most right, or I can convince you of either, I win. But I win misery, I win pain, I win less than. I may win money, I may win a Pulitzer. But I'm not more happy. I don't have more satisfaction. My life isn't filled with joy. I don't feel connected to a community of people that I find and appreciate because of the gift that God has provided me through them. What does anger do for us when we think about it from a level above it? Anger brings us down. Anger puts a weight around us. Anger, and then righteous anger, as we looked at, is sticky. It's a sticky thing because there's something in us called the ego and the mind that this entire thing is about transcending, that holds on to being right as more efficacious than being happy. Think about that for a minute. Think about the reality that if I'm right, I'd rather be right than happy. That's insanity. I liken to an alcoholic. I'd rather be drunk than prosperous. It's insanity. I'd rather have a buzz than find peace. I'd rather waste all my money at the bottom of a bottle than have a home that's warm and filled with love and little feet running around. Anger is insanity. Anger is juicy. Anger is directed outward, usually based on the fact that we don't believe we have gotten something we deserve. Anger feels natural. Anger feels when it's there, when it's present, as what we are, as all-encompassing. Rarely do, though, we ever, in a moment of anger, stop and watch it. One of the most interesting things about the mind is you can legitimately separate yourself from the belief that you are that thing when it arises, and you can watch it come, rise, dissipate without feeding it, without giving it any energy. And it usually takes 15, 20, 30 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 3 minutes. There's usually a time frame, 15 to 20 minutes. If you watch that anger, if you watch that moment of pride, if you watch that sensation of wanting to be vindictive, if you watch any thought or feeling or emotion really arise within you and you don't try to change it, you don't try to fix it, you don't try to hide from it, you don't try to run from it, and you just watch it, it goes away. How could something that arises out of almost what feels like nowhere presents itself and go away just as easy as it came if you don't give it energy? Be what we are. How can our thoughts, our feelings, and emotions be what we are if we don't choose them to even be there? How can that be what we are if we didn't even invite the thought into the head? If we didn't invite the anger to be present? If we didn't invite the feeling to be present or the emotion to be present, and it's just there and we don't have control over in the moment, snapping our finger and having it go away, how is that what we are? It's not what we are. We have thoughts, we're not our thoughts. We have feelings, we're not our feelings. We have emotions, we're not our emotions. And by the word have, experience. We experience these things arise within us as a certain stimuli or multiples of stimuli that are there for a moment and gone. And when we look away from them, when we hide from them, when we busy ourselves with anything other than watching them come, surrendering over our attachment to them or our belief that that's what we are, and then watching them recede, we give them strength. We let them build bigger for next time. And then when that thought turns into the feeling, because 1,000 times when that negative thought came up, we turned our eyes away from it. We pretended it wasn't there. We didn't surrender it over. We didn't forgive ourselves. We didn't forgive the world. And the next time it comes, and the next time, and like we said, 1,000 times later, now it's a feeling. And then that feeling arises, and we think that's true. We think that's real because we've had that thought 1,000,000 times, and we didn't do anything with it. The mind in and of itself cannot tell truth from falsehood. It just absorbs. It just downloads. I was watching a political commentator a couple nights ago make fun of a pastor. And what the pastor was saying, the priest, the bishop actually was saying, was this is how you be Jesus, even in these times of having to make tough decisions. And the commentator was tearing this person down because of her sexual proclivity that he didn't even know what it was. And because this bishop had the audacity to tell the truth. We live in a world where the truth is turned upside down, where your fears, your anger, your pride are going to be justified by the world. Because at this point in time, in this lifetime, in this world, love is starting to grow in certain places and grow in such a way that the antithesis of that love is making a last-ditch effort. It's trying to put more divisiveness, more anger, more pride, more fuel for both into the world. Anger and pride do not take you to God. You will not find God in anger. You will not find God in pride. You will not find truth in either. And when anger and pride present themselves, there couldn't be any more two things more deceptive than those, destructive than those for the world around us. Anger can be a natural inclination for many, but it doesn't have to be any longer if you so choose to look at it, if you choose to dissect it, if you choose to work through it, if you choose to surrender it over, if you choose to forgive that person, if you choose to see anger as the linchpin pointing towards forgiveness, man, you're onto a powerful truth. If that anger had had a minute to say, that bishop is saying something that angers me because I don't like truth, what a powerful moment that had been, as opposed to doubling down on justification for having the anger over someone saying something that I don't like. Think about it in your world. Think about when anger arises the most, or your pride comes up, and you quite literally will do whatever you can to make sure that some position is held, regardless of what it means for your life or your family around you or your finances or any of those things. You will take pride to the grave. How dare you wrong me? How dare you say that about me? Don't you know who I am? Don't you know what I've done? Who cares? Honestly, who cares? Do you care when that's supposed about someone else? Do you care what someone else has done, who they are, when you're angry or prideful towards them? No. So why should they care about you when you don't even know what you are? And that's why we're looking at anger and pride. They're the last part before we start embracing courage and beyond. And they're also part of the fourth step in the program of If You Live It, in the program of AA, and any other anonymous program. When we look at these 12 steps, the first glimpse we have within If You Live It into the process of forgiveness start with looking at anger and pride. And they're byproducts of resentments and fears and grudges and judgments and all these other things. There's a huge amount of population on this world right now who calibrates its consciousness levels identifying as anger and pride. And if you look at their life, you look at their employees, you look at their family, you look at their friends, you're not going to hear stories of service. You're not going to hear stories of making an environment better. You're going to hear about taking. You're going to hear about getting. You're going to hear about theft. You're going to hear about non-integrity. Anger and pride don't take you to God. You don't find him there. God is not angry. God doesn't get angry at people. God is not prideful, wrathful. These are all anthropomorphized man descriptors that we've given to God based on our experience of life. The ego is not God. The ego was created by God to be a mechanism, to be a program that appeared to create separateness from us and the Creator while here. But the gift is you can transcend that. You can surrender over your ego. You can witness God present now. You can see this place as heaven and heavenly. But you have to let go of anger. You have to let go of pride. Why do we hold on to it for so long? Again, it has to do with the fact that we'd rather be something than nothing, when in reality, being nothing is the key to actually experiencing joy and happiness and peace. Being attached to nothing, averse to nothing, having no thingness is where we start finding real joy. Because when we are no longer attached to being a thing, this or that, it's really the first time that you have the opportunity to start seeing past duality, past the belief system that it has to be this or that, and you start seeing this and that. When we look at the process of creation, it's evolutionary. Evolution and creation are one and the same process. It is not evolution or creation. It's both simultaneously happening around the clock all the time. The evolutionary process of creation unfolding and manifesting here and now and forever and eternity in this place, one and the same. You won't see that being prideful over your opinions. You won't see that holding on to anger and grudges and resentments from that anger. You won't ever see it. And if you don't see the basic truth that there is not a this or that, but it's this and that, or that evolution and creation are actually one and the same thing, you are not going to find real joy and happiness in this life. I hope you find the motivation within to agree to say, God, please help me see anger and pride as things worth letting go of. I hope for your sake that the next time anger and pride arise, that this information, this video has given you just a little bit of hesitation in believing you're those things. A great place to start diving into what to do with thoughts, especially ones filled with anger and pride, is Byron Katie's work that was originally found by this person in the book Loving What Is. It is a great place to start dissecting thoughts, feelings, and emotions, specifically ones rooted in anger and pride. This entire program of the 12 steps, the fourth step, why anger and pride are represented here, or because this is where we get to start looking at these resentments, these grudges, these fears, these worries, these anxieties, these things we try to hide from. And we get to see our part to play in them and then move past them. Anger and pride can keep you stuck in lifetime after lifetime after lifetime because they are so juicy. The energy they provide you to feel right, to feel better than, to feeling above, to feeling separate from. That's juicy. It's nowhere near as juicy as knowing God, as being happy, as letting go of the desire to be right through your anger. Because who cares? Who cares? Thank you for being here. I hope you check out ifyouliveit.com, these 12 steps, this book that takes you through this fourth step, that take you through the first 3 steps and then finish all 12 steps. And you'll see that we're moving into this realm of forgiveness. We've talked about surrender. Now it's about forgiveness. So let's get busy living. Let's get busy forgiving. And let's watch that anger, watch that pride, and surrender these